Welcome back to the Other Side Lifestyle Podcast with Jim and Aram. Today we have Phil Dominguez on. Hey, what's going on, Phil? How are you?
What's going on, gentlemen? Thank you for having me.
That was our worst intro ever. You're welcome for that.
That's a direct intro. That's exactly how we just get to the point.
Yeah, there was no BS, no making stuff up. We got a legendary high school football coach here. Maybe the strength conditioning coach potentially for a feeder program.
Yeah, something along the lines there like that. That's what I'm being brought back for. We're in the talks of.
Yeah.
You know, I was a football coach for about 10 years at my alma mater, and then we all left in 2012. Let go, whatever you want to say. The whole staff left. We went to a rival school after about 3 years off. We all kind of did our thing and came back together. And then I was at 4 games in, and then I got fired from Sure High School for allegedly putting my hands on a lineman, of all things, of all people, who are used to having their hands on them. Hey, what's going on?
Yeah, and right? if anybody knows Phil is about 5'1", 102 pounds. So him putting his hands on a high school lineman is probably not that threatening to begin with, but somehow he made it look really
I still think Phil could take him.
Hey, you know, I have a little grit in me, I guess.
Yeah.
I give you everything I got within my 5'3" frame. Give me my 2 inches back around. How dare you?
Is it 5'3"? I'm sorry.
Yeah, you piece of shit.
No, I'm just kidding, dude. 5'3",
so,
but hey, I'll take the 5'1" too, so it's okay. Anything
so
over
you're
5'.
only a few inches shorter than Aram.
Yeah.
Aram identifies as 6 foot, though.
I identify as 6'1". I clock in at 5'7.5".
He's a
Phil,
giant.
You were starting to tell you were telling that parallels there between.
You broke up, man.
Can you hear me now?
There we go.
Yes.
Okay. So Phil was telling us the story about how he got let go from football, and I think there was a lot of interesting parallels there and some lessons learned about what transpired and what kind of the current climate of people's mental fortitude and stress resilience is. So can you just kind of paint a picture of what was going on that season and what led to you getting let go and then how you now came back?
I'll give you a little bit more of a background on that. So as a staff, we left from my alma mater in Bell Gardens in 2012, and we went to Sure High School in 2015. So in the middle of that, we're very kind of old school dudes where we're kind of structured out. And a lot of football programs don't have structure. By the time kids are leaving, they don't have anything to base their lives off of or anything of that nature. And the guys that I've worked with, Dave Ramos and Raul Sanchez, they're very structured gentlemen. They teach you stuff where later on in life, you can kind of look back on things and be like, hey, I'm very proud of what I did. So we had a little bit of a struggle with a lot of the kids that when we took over the program, they weren't used to having to be at practice at a certain time. And hey, this is how we're starting. They were used to kind of getting away with showing up 15 minutes late and showing up in the middle of the practice and wearing whatever they wanted to wear. And we're not like that. We're a team. We're going to look alike. We're going to be all the same. And very structured along those lines from top to bottom. And one of the gentlemen didn't quite agree with the rules that we had set for him, who wasn't a part of the opening part of when we took over the program, but decided to come during summer because that's what was allowed before. And we set these rules, didn't follow them. So I kicked him off after one of our games, after numerous times of talking to him. And he didn't want to leave the locker room. And, you know, I kept saying, hey, man, you got to leave. I got to address the team. You got to leave. And got in front of him. And that's when he said that I put my hands on him. And, again, I have the whole entire team around me to see this. And they vouched for me. But I ended up losing my job, which for the district, I was working with the special ed group at the time. And then with football, I was let go entirely. So I had to kind of start life all over again, look for a new job, do certain things, go back in the security field, and kind of where I'm at now. I was able to carve a decent life just doing that, though, because I had stuff that I could finally fall back on with just learning how to have a structure for my life, some type of routine for my life. And I just needed to build a new routine for myself.
Have you guys ever heard of metabolic gyms?
No.
Metabolic, Aram, have you?
Only because of you.
Okay, so metabolic, it's become this I guess like a chain. You could open your own metabolic gym. It's kind of like a CrossFit style environment.
Okay.
One of their rules is the doors lock at the start time of class. So if class is at 3:00, they lock the doors. If you want to come in and ask for information, it's during a class period, you can't. And it just reminded me of what you were just saying with having structure and this and that. And they even posted online, somebody gave them a horrible review. Like, these places rude. I scheduled a class, like a pop-in or a visit, whatever, and they just locked the doors, didn't even let me in, and blah, blah, blah. And then they replied to it, and it was thorough, and it was a little sassy, but it was also like, yeah, that's what we do. That's why we tell everybody to be there 15 minutes early, blah, blah, blah. So it just made me think of that even there's adults who sign up for a class who know the doors will be locked and then complaining. They actually locked them. The structure.
That's the structure we want. Like, again, I'm a personal trainer now, so I'm usually early, 15 to half an hour, minutes to my sessions, setting stuff up, because I learned that back in 2000 when I started football. Show up early to football practice. It's what I taught my kids after that, and so on and so forth. There's value to that. Show up to something and be early to it, especially if you're a trainer. You could be reading a book, you could be setting up your stations, whatever it is. There's value to that. And, this person didn't quite like that value. So that leads us to where we're at now with high school football. And high school football is so different, where you can literally just transfer week to week and play somewhere differently now. Like, 20 years ago when I was in high school, this was not allowed. You were allowed to transfer, but you either lost half of your season or you sat out 2 months. And in football, that's your entire season, your entire senior season. So it's either, are you chasing a team or a ring or whatever, or are you going to learn some type of structure, value at your home community? And those are completely out the window now. Gone. We don't see that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad because the town that I grew up in, Chester, Connecticut, we were top 25 in the country for, I think, 6 straight years. So if you were a freshman the second year, you won a ring all 4 years if you played varsity. So you literally, and I think they went 49-0. So that they essentially were undefeated for 4 straight seasons, which is a really tough standard to live with, because as a kid, you expect that winning to continue, right? So I think this is a great parallel into what we talk about with our clients when it comes to things like fat loss and it comes to body transformation and what expectation should look like based on the amount of effort you're putting in. And I think it's really sad that a guy like you, who has all the best intentions and a lot of integrity, is getting let go from these programs just for purely setting standards that parents aren't holding their children to, and then you're having the blowback from it, because it's teaching people not to be disciplined, and it's teaching people that it's okay to show up whenever and however you feel like it, as opposed to having a little bit of a higher having a little bit of a higher standard.
You had mentioned on our talk when we had that, give me a coach that has 30 years of experience over someone that's like basically like a textbook trainer. And that's the same thing. You can have 30 years of Coach Ramos or Coach Sanchez's students come back to him and say, Coach, this was awesome that you taught me this X amount of years ago. It's going to relate back to it. And now you're going to find these other kids that don't have that because they're transferring around. They're not going to be able to relate to that. And it goes into that. Coach Nick Saban talked about it in college football, that there's no accountability with all the transfer protocol and things of that nature. There just isn't. I'm sorry, there's not. These kids they're getting whatever they want, however they want, by just complaining about it and just moving to the different schools. And you're not learning anything when you're doing that. I'm sorry, you're just not.
Well, and it feeds into their level of entitlement. And that's where I think that entitlement just starts getting bred over and over and over again. And then it grows up into adulthoods and adults feeling entitled to shit and not earning it.
Absolutely.
And that's where we're at right now. That's the problem, is like we're working with adults. I mean, I think the older generation is probably not as it's probably more the younger generation. But I'm seeing it in 30 and 40-year-olds where their expectations just don't match reality, and it's because things were easy along the way. And I think having a little bit of resistance and having some stress along the way is a good thing for people.
You need to have some type of tough skin to get through something like that. I think that's what helped me along in this business aspect for myself, is having that tough skin of fuck, shit can go wrong. All right, now I can just pick up something else and learn something else and just have that go-getter mentality to do it. Because if not, I would have failed at this a long time ago with how many rainouts that I've had at my house because of the rain the last 2 years and things of that nature. But I'm determined because of that. I'm not gonna let that happen.
Do you primarily work with your personal training? Do you primarily work with athletes?
No, luckily I work with a lot of school teachers right now.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of random how that came about. But going back into the athletes, I started working with them more, so it's kind of like a split demographic. I work with anyone from older populations to young kids, mid age. It doesn't matter.
Nice. Ron, you're gonna say
Yeah,
something
no.
with your West Coast internet.
What I wanted to say was this message of stress resilience, and that stress resilience has to come about in every aspect of life. Because I think people are pretty good at handling stress in certain situations, right? Like if anybody has a tough work environment, they seem to always be able to kind of handle that stress because there's a paycheck involved. And if they don't handle that stress, consequences and repercussions that are pretty immediate and pretty severe. But when it comes to having that same level of stress, resilience, and discipline in other facets of their life, it tends to crumble because I think that the repercussions and the consequences just aren't as immediate and severe. For example, if you miss a workout or if you eat like shit for a couple of days, nothing bad really happens. So I think that the standard ends up being a little bit lower for people's average daily behavior because the consequences aren't there. You're not going to get fired. You're not going to lose money. Your health isn't going to completely go to shit.
I could take it the opposite way with football on that is where we require so much from the guys to be at practice because it's such a demanding sport where the moment you start missing practice, the moment you start missing games, there goes your discipline because you're not practicing it in the daily aspect of your life. Your routine is gone, and you look at that in your practice where they miss one, now it trickles over to the next one where their focus is completely gone. And, that's kind of like the weekend thinking of people like, fuck, I binge ate on the weekend. Now I missed everything. That whole week's fucked. Well, it's our job as a coach to kind of refocus them on that. And let's get back to it. And let's focus on the things that you can control. Like right now, practice. You can control practice right now. You can control what you're eating at this moment. How does that make you feel? And those types of things. You can control the moment. And I think that's what I love so much about football is controlling the moment. Your daily battles, you can control. Your one-on-one position battles, you can control. My one-on-one battles with the food, I can control that. I hate doing it, but I can control it. It's a little bit of mental, but I can control it.
Would you say that you developed this mindset from playing sports in high school? Was it something that you recognized that you had when you were in high school? Was it something later and you attribute it to it?
It definitely was high school. Coming from the area that I grew up in, Bell Gardens at the time was a very dangerous area to grow up in. It still kind of is. But because of football, again, I'm 5'2", man, and I'm blocking for someone I played fullback of all positions when I was on varsity. I was an all-league fullback at 5'3", 120 pounds, blocking for a dude that was bigger than me. I'm reminded of that every day. Like that's my kind of. I'm a little dude. I'm gonna give you everything I have because I don't have much. So I'm gonna just outperform with what I got, and that was always my mindset, and that's why I call my business attitude and effort because it's an attitude to have a good attitude every day or a bad attitude. You can go it that way, and to have good effort or bad effort. You have good effort, you're going to have a great attitude, you're going to have a good life. Have bad effort, have a bad attitude, you're going to have a shitty day, a shitty week, a shitty life, shitty year. It just adds on. So you can flip the script on it however you want.
I like it.
Man,
attitude determines altitude.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're just missing it, man. I see it really just slipping in every aspect of society. And it's really hard to rein it back in because it requires effort. And there's so much effort that's required in every aspect of life. It's not just nutrition and training. It's relationships. It's the way you interact with your children. It's in the way you interact with your friends. Like so many people are just so reactive and unprepared. And then the expectation doesn't, unfortunately. So Phil, when you're dealing with clients, right, because you have these parallels of sports and athletics and football where there is discipline and there is structure, how are you able to take some of those principles and implement them into your average everyday person?
Well, like I said, very big on structure. So there's a way that I structure our workouts. When we're starting our workout, we're going to structure if we're squatting, for instance, we're going to start with our ankle mobs. We have to do some type of ankle mobility to help us out. And then we'll work up the chain. We'll work up some hip mobility, maybe some knee stuff, but usually hip stuff. That is setting the structure for them to be ready to squat and how we're going to work out. If we're not working out, if we're not warming up with intent, more than likely our workout's going to be like shit because we have no intent on doing anything. So it translates over just like I said earlier in practice. One practice leads to the other. Well, one drill leads to the other here. So as long as we can have a structured output, a structured routine, we're going to be fine. I think for me, having routine is a little bit better than having habits because you can alter your routines rather than having your habits are already set. They're there. but you can alter routines at all times. So a lot of people tend to lead towards more habits, where I just tend to lead more towards more routine. What's more routine? What's going to get me to control the moment more? That's my routine.
When you have these teachers that are coming to train with you, they're coming after school, maybe they're stressed out, the kids and all that kind of stuff. What is your main point with them when they show up to the gym and they have all this baggage maybe from the day?
The number one point I'm making to them is the fact that they're showing up. The fact that you're here. You're creating the routine for yourself to show up to your sessions. They could very easily say, like, all right, Phil, I'm going to Woody, or I'm not going to come home, or I'm going, I can pass that. But there is some type of stress reliever that they found with it. And that's one of the ultimate things that we love about working out. It is a stress reliever. It can change our moods. It can alter our happiness to happiness. So that's definitely one thing is I can see right when they're walking in, what type of mood they're in, whether they're talking, whether they're quiet. And we're going to go off of that. And I'm going to change some type of energy around the way. Ram, you've been around me. Like, I'm a very happy-go-lucky type of dude. So I want to have that happy-go-lucky type of attitude when I'm here. And that's the environment that I want. That's the tribe that I want to have here. I'm part Native American. So like I tend to bring the tribe thing involved with that. And we're playing different musics and we're just getting involved with everything that we're doing across that. I'm sure it's the same way with you guys and your clients. You're implementing what they like here so that they're comfortable in having their workout here.
Can you think of one client where there was just a total life change for them, even their perspective on work or anything like that, from starting to show up to the gym that you just get fired up about?
My mom.
Yeah?
My mom.
Tell us about that.
Let's see. Mom's a triplet, and she was never.
If you can cry, it works. It's better for the algorithm.
I can definitely.
So if you can,
I'll definitely
don't
get
hold
you
back.
On a crier on this one.
Yeah.
Mom.
Mark clip.
Mom kind of was never given the time of day throughout her life. Very easily. She's a triplet. She was the first one out of the triplet, but she was the third born out of the whole family. So she was just never. She was just always looked at like as the run of the family. She's the crier of them. She's emotional. So she just never was given anything, like just any type of day from anybody. My dad would always try to take her to the gym, but it's like, all right, you can go over there and I'm going to go over here rather than let's do this together. So again, someone just dumping her off over there, not having anybody, just focusing on their time with them. And as a coach, one-on-one with position athletes, one-on-one with the client here, I'm going to give you everything that I got. So I gave everything I had when pandemic started, and Mom started.
How old was she
when
you started?
We are in 2024. So Mom was 60 when we started, and she's 64. Well, she's about to be 64 this year. She had no idea what a deadlift was, had no idea what a squat was, or any of that fun stuff. So now Mom's repping 155 on deadlift. A couple of years later, and we're having
What's
fun
her
with
snatch?
that. We haven't got quite there yet, but at some point we will. We'll turn some power clean. I love Oli lifting because of football. So I'll teach clients how to Oli lift and definitely have fun with that. But just having her go out walking on her own and coming out here, like, hey, when do I get to see you out there in the back? And just having her ask is probably one of the brighter moments, and just seeing her actually do. I think one of the better things of watching her when she didn't think she could ever hit 135 on a deadlift, and then watching her do it, and her eyes got big, and she like put it down and started crying. I was like, I know, it's cool.
Awesome.
I know. So that's my mom.
Does she describe anything and how her life has changed outside of the gym?
Her clothes. Mom hasn't worn. I'm gonna get a little personal. Like underwear size, she was a size like 16 for the longest time. Mom is now down to a size 12, and she hasn't had a size 12 on, and I think she said since high school. So and we've just hammered the basics of dieting, just the basics. I'm not putting her in a calorie deficit or anything like that. She doesn't want to count. She doesn't want. Fine. What's the closest we can get to it? Our protein. Let's up our protein then. What's the next closest we can do? Let's up our fiber a little more. You're a little bit older, Mom. So those things have drastically helped them. The one thing that she's really enjoying right now, and one of the attendees to the Real Coach Conference was Nikki, with the group that I'm a part of, Show Up Fitness. And I'm like, Mom, you can try this shake and you're going to love it. I guarantee it. And, I told Nikki about that and she absolutely loved it. So those little things from whoever we come across in our seminars and our conferences help out across the board. I was getting just regular protein shakes. I wasn't adding any berries and stuff into it, but I forget. Hey, I'm just a dude. I can drink a protein shake. Mom needs a little extra more than that. So there you go. I added that and she loves it now.
I feel triggered. I need the berries in mine. Are you trying to say something about me?
I am.
That's because you're
Protein.
What? I'm not a man because I put berries and cherries.
I think
you're
berries just go in
bitch, man. Buy
yogurt.
some chia
There you go.
seeds.
I do flax seeds. Stop it.
What you're drinking is called a smoothie, and if you know Allie Gilbert, you know that smoothies are not what they should be called.
What should they
They're
be
supposed to be
called?
called shakes. They're supposed to be called shakes.
Oh, okay.
They're shakes.
Yeah.
And they're shakes because you literally put something into a container and then shake it like this.
Yeah. Ooh.
I'm making a hand motion for anybody that's looking.
Ooh.
Watch on YouTube to catch that action.
Let's get a double.
That's on the Patreon account.
Hold on, let me turn this up. You can see Dwight there. There you go. You can see I can play with,
awesome.
Dwight right there in a little nipple.
That's beautiful.
There you go.
Beautiful. Scranton shout out. How long did it take for her to even start being open to the conversations about nutrition?
We never really actually honestly had them. Okay. It was just, Mom, you're going to drink this. You're going to eat this a little more. Just, I'm going to take care of your diet. I'm going to give you what you want to eat, but I'll take care of that. And until you kind of have the idea of it, which again, it didn't take long. Now it's on the refrigerator. Now it's kind of like, all right, we're having this, and this, or I'm going to have this and this. What do you think about this? Perfect. Let's do it. So it helps having the barbecue. She likes to grill it up with the chicken on the steaks on the grill. Having barbecues are fun. So those little things help out. Yeah, it was never a conversation. It's just, we're going to just start gradually just going down this route a little bit. Okay. I've never had her track her food. I mean, I have a food scale, but we've never used it. She doesn't want to use it. I'm like, that's fine. We can still work around it, and we can figure out a way. And luckily, I think our method has.
Do you think that, did she start coming to you? I'll eventually let Aram talk, because there's a point to even ask you all these questions, just because this is the kind of stuff I think the average person might be going through or thinking about. But do you think that she was first coming just to spend time with you, or was she coming there like, I need to get my shit together?
It was the latter. She was going through a little bit of health issues at the time. Okay. And to the flip side, to the yin to the yang, my dad's been sick for many, many years, blames everybody and their mom about his sickness, but won't do anything about it, has seen numerous doctors, but continues to blame them. And again, what we've structured for ourselves is we're walking daily, we're protein and veggies, and it's written down, like I just said earlier, but he doesn't want to listen to that, doesn't want to do it, doesn't want to partake. So I can't help you. I can lead you to the water, but I can't make you drink it. That's his thing. And, he might hate me for it now, but I mean, I don't know. I can't speak for him on that. But mom, she just needed to get her shit together. And luckily she has, she has a lot more energy now, and she's able to, one time, I'll give you a quick story on that. One time she takes care of my grandmother, and she found my grandmother in the backyard on the ground. And because she was able to deadlift, guess what happened? She was able to pick her up. And before she wasn't able to, but because she was able to work out and practice those things, there was a point where she needed it, and it came through for her, Yeah.
I don't know if it was Cliff Harsky posted something about that recently, or if it was, I don't know why I'm saying him. Could have been somebody else. Like, you're training for the things, who said it? Anyway, like, train for the things that you don't know. How they phrased it much more eloquently than this. Train for the things that you don't know are going to happen. Train for exactly that moment. Like, what are you training for? For the things that I might need to be able to do. But I have no idea what, but I'm training for it.
Yep. Training for life. Whatever's going to hit me in life, I'm training for it. I'm training for upward rotation to reach for something on the top shelf or whatever it is. But I'm training for that. I'm training the squat pattern so I can make sure I can take a dump and wipe my ass and get up there in the morning, because I'm not going to be a struggling old man. Because I'm going to have good joints later on in life with how we work out and things of that nature.
Yeah,
I mean, we talk about this concept,
shaking cups up.
We talk about this concept constantly, man. I mean, the idea that a lot of times this pursuit starts off with an aesthetic focus, and I think the evolution of training and eating well starts to form more into a quality of life focus. And I think once you start to get to that place where you evolve and you're now more concerned about quality of life than you are aesthetics, you never stop, because the deep-seated reason why you're even doing it is so much more important than aesthetics. And that's why I think people can become successful at it for the long term and make it sustainable. Because if you're only doing it for something that's really dopamine related, like aesthetics, it doesn't seem to carry as much weight or water with it. And I'm curious to hear what your opinion on that is.
Well, then your emotions blow with the wind when it's just aesthetics.
That's true. Yeah.
You know, that's the biggest thing. It's like, as you're saying that around, I'm sitting there thinking about some people, and it's like, if you've been training for 10 plus years and you're still hyper focused on the scale and aesthetics, like, this is now a you problem. This is not a coach problem. This isn't anything else. And people, if you're listening and you're in that place, it's a you problem. You got to start shifting your mindset. There's nothing a coach is going to do for you.
You may not be ego lifting, but you're ego lifting.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
it's a different version of that.
Yeah, you really are.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why you need a coach. You're stuck set in your ways or whatever the case is, but you might be a bench presser for who knows how long and your shoulder's fucking you up, but you don't know why it's fucking you up because you're doing bench press. Well, time to switch things up and stop doing bench press. You know, there's other ways you can practice.
But I like it.
Well, you're a fucking meathead. I'm sorry. You're not
but I like it.
Well, you know what? I'm sorry. Like, hey, I like it too, but it's not needed right now.
Not like me. But I like it.
I always love the conditions are always funny to me because I think it's so funny to me when you express a desire to change something, you have to immediately wipe conditions off the table.
Yeah.
Like, you're not allowed to say, I want to change this, this, and this only under these specific conditions in which I'm not willing to waver on. Like, if you're
or when somebody says they want to change something and then you're starting to give them tips, advice, guidance, well, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, if it has to involve that, then I just don't want it. I don't want it that bad. Well, okay.
There has to be another way where I continue doing what I'm doing.
No. No.
There has to be. There's just this thing. I just have to tweak one of the things. I could still do this.
There's some
I just
type
have to tweak one of the things.
There's a trickle effect somewhere. There's a yin and a yang. The water doesn't flow that way, man. Something is bound to give somewhere or another. Time.
I don't know. You sound like a new coach.
Oh,
I need somebody with experience.
Then we are so far away from me right now. I'll tell you that.
You're just stuck in your ways, Phil. You don't know.
But that also comes back to the conversation that I think coaches really need to have is pushing their clients into getting really firm on their values and their standards. You know, when you're talking, and I was curious to hear if you have a process on that or if you have that conversation with your clients before they even start.
What's things that because I went to your conference that I've started to implement more on with clients is how they want to see themselves, because they come to me for these certain things, right? Most of them are mobility, most of them are for strength or losing weight, whatever it is. And we can say, yes, I want this in 2 months. I can get you there, sure. But what about after that? Like, that's what I want to have that conversation on, is after that, because we're going to get here, but it's always after that I'm worried about. You know, we talk about working backwards, so I can get you to all those things, but what about after? So I will set that, like, we're going to get there. So what are the steps after we're going to do? And we're going to kind of just talk about those. I'm going to piece those together. That's how I implement it on the mindset changing. When you get here, you're showing up for yourselves. What's the best workout? The next one you show up to is always the best one. So those little things on those little, I guess you could say, like, little quotes that I gave them when they're leaving me, little sayings I get, those stick in their head. And when they come back, they're usually quoting that exact one, like, this happened to me this week because you said it or whatever. Not almost in that exact frame, but somewhere along where I'm going to bring it back up again. Did this happen when I said this? Or did you use this for this? Anything like that, if that makes any sense. If you guys are following me on that. Yeah. Hopefully I didn't ramble too much, but that's kind of how I work it like that. It's just literally showing up, because the journey is showing up, right? Like, you're working on that every day. The moment you don't show up is when you stop working on it. So I can't work on it when you're not showing up. So let's show up together.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing. And we've said it so many times. And I feel like most of the good coaches out there get it. It's like, the goal is the journey. I hate the word journey, but, like, the goal really needs to be the lifestyle. We cannot have some external thing that this is the goal. And in the midst of the goal being the lifestyle, we can have cool, fun little things. And it becomes so much easier because then you can just change. Like, oh, right now I feel like seeing how strong I can get in this lift. Right now I feel like, let's test with what my endurance can be aerobically. Let me get into running. And, like, that can take all kinds of paths,
So
but
many.
you're still in the process. It doesn't have to be this one thing. It's like, yeah, then when you get it, and Gary Vee talks about this with Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary Vee, he talks about he never wants to buy he wants to buy the Jets. He's like, I'm going to buy the Jets. but he had said it one time I heard him talk about it. He goes, I hope I never buy the Jets. The most exciting thing in my life is that I'm going to buy the Jets. And if I buy the Jets, then what? I'm going to have to find something else.
Yeah.
So I love that whole concept, fully aware of the process is what he loves and all the work he's doing and everything like that, loving that process, and there's going to be days that suck and things that you're not going to like and all that. But like you're saying, all you got to do is show up. You could have the worst workout of the week, but today was the best workout I had today.
You only get that one.
That's
Delayed gratification. If I'm going to tie it with football, I mean, that's what it teaches you. Being a strength coach with them is like you're working out 7, almost 8 months in the off season to play a guaranteed 10 games. You're guaranteed 10. So let's make sure we're the best of it and try to get to the 13 and the 14 games that you want to get to in season, because you want to get to your championship rounds and things like that. So delayed gratification is not, it teaches you so much, man. You got to love working out to see what you're working out for, and that's the journey of playing football. I'm getting to season. That's what I'm working for. So working out teaches you delayed gratification, and you need to really learn it, harness it, embrace it to really change your aspect on life. If you're not embracing it, you're never going to change your lifestyle.
And you're not going to notice it until you notice it. Everybody's looking to notice it. You're not going to notice the changes until you notice the changes. So you might as well keep showing up until you do notice the changes instead of getting upset that you didn't notice the changes yet.
Yeah. And we talk about showing up. Aram, are you guys familiar with Show Up Fitness by any chance? No? That's the group that I'm a part of. That's the group that I'm a part of, how I met you, how I met Andrew Coates and everything like that. Chris Hitchko, he has an online internship, and I like to give him a little shout out on these things because this has helped me learn. Yes, I learned a whole bunch of strength and conditioning stuff when I was working with Raul Sanchez in the weight room, but I never learned true anatomy portions. I didn't go to college, so I never learned how to program. I never learned how to talk progressions and regressions. Luckily, during the pandemic, I hooked up with Chris Hitchko and his online internship. I went through his internship. I learned some nutrition stuff. I learned programming. I learned regressions, progressions. I learned anatomy, which led me to hang out with Tony Gentilcore for 15 weeks in the internship, which led me to go to meet Tony G in person, which I spent a lot of time with him, and which led me to all of this. It all started with Show Up Fitness. So I always like to talk about them when I come on these podcasts, because everything that Aram you're doing on having coaches is everything that Chris is doing on the online space. He'll have guest speakers and things of that nature. We'll have daily calls of anatomy and programming and nutrition and all these things within his platform. So that's what got me to this portion of where I'm at right now in my personal training career is Show Up Fitness. And he partnered with Equinox and Lifetime, and they now accept his CPT. He's beginning to give monthly seminars at one of them every month around the States. So first one's in Sacramento, then we're in New Jersey, Boston, Philadelphia. We're going to be everywhere. So, I like to really make sure people are aware of them if you're thinking about becoming a personal trainer.
ShowUpFitness.com.
Yeah.
Helped 4,500 people pass NASA, ACE, and CSCS.
And he shits on NASM like crazy, which is awesome, and I love it.
We'll help you pass this shitty test.
He literally, he got banned from NASM because he would just constantly talk shit to the main dude, and it was great. He calls them the National Academy of Shitty Medicine. That's what he calls them. And he was also making fun. He was making fun of the Mind Pump because those guys sold out to NASM too. So we're not,
Listen, once you come out with a 290 influencer course, you've lost all your credibility in the space.
Yeah,
and
they have an influencer course.
Yeah.
Wow.
How to become an online, how to become a fitness for $299.
Okay,
bucks. So the fact that's an actual certification class.
Yeah. Well, Chris will teach you how to grow your social media business with Danny, who teaches people how to understand how to grow their social media and their niche, however you want to pronounce it, and how to hone in on those things, how to have a content calendar, how to content create and spice up your things so you're not spending so much time. So they'll teach you those things, But
Yeah,
as far as
that's
the
called
influencer,
strategy. That's called
as far as the
strategy.
influencer shit, nah, we're kind of
Yeah, but I want to be
Well,
certified. Where can I go to get certified again?
to be an
buttsniffers.com.
influencer, go to an influencer. Well, the problem is the verbiage that's used. It's placating to people's, again, need for instant gratification. Are you a influencer or are you a coach? Are you a professional or are you just trying to get attention online? Because if you're a professional, you don't give a fuck about the clicks and the likes and the following. You're only using that as a way to amplify your voice to be able to help a broader spectrum of people, as opposed to I'm just trying to be as important as I possibly can online, and then all that matters is how much reach I have to be able to prop myself up on it. And I think the way that NASM positioned themselves to be able to even call it an influencer course already disqualified them from a credibility standpoint, at least in my eyes.
Yep, 100%. I had a very early interaction with the NASM trainer. I think it was probably like 2007 or 8, whenever it was. And again, learning from Raw in the weight room and the way this guy was trying to train me, and I'm like, this is not right. This is a little goofy here, sir. Like, you're trying to check me on upper head squatting and all this other FMS bullshit, like all that other. I'm like, nah, yeah, no. It just didn't seem right. It didn't feel right because of what I had been a part of and everything like that, and how we were growing our athletes. It just didn't seem right, and I was totally against NASM from them. 20 years later, totally against NASM now. So there you go.
It's just it's funny. It's funny to me how a lot of these schools of thought just don't evolve, And I think I got certified CFSC, which is certified strength and or certified functional strength coach, which is based off of 5 move patterns, which we all know and love, right? Hinge, squat, lunge, carry, rotate, and all that. Like that stuff is all great. That's all basic human movement. But I think the problem that I'm seeing in this space is that they're taking these classes and these certifications. They're never updating them. Now, obviously, we're not going to really find out a ton of new stuff about the human body. Like its capabilities are pretty set in stone at this point. Like we already know how a human body functions. But they're just repackaging and repurposing this stuff constantly to make it sound so novel and new and exciting. And you have to learn this method or else you'll never be an effective coach. Some of the best coaches I know have no formal education, like you, right? Or
it's the years on the floor.
Yeah, they piecemealed. They piecemealed experience. They picked the brains of people that had more experience than them. They applied it imperfectly on the floor with clients, and they fucked clients up along the way to do it. And that to me, but think about that, Phil, and how much does that translate into your clients and our clients just taking imperfect action on a daily basis, no matter how sloppy it might be?
I mean, imperfect action, man. Fuck, you said it already. I don't know. Are they taking action? Is it perfect action? Is it imperfect? You could go about that a whole different ways. I would like to look at it. Action. Are we taking action stuff now? What are we doing now? If we're not doing it now, you're not doing it all, period. Yeah,
and then everybody knows common sense wise, you're not going to start off with perfect action. So the only option is imperfect action if you wanted to give a word to it.
Yeah.
So stop getting so hung up on being perfect. The only way you're even going to get to perfect, if you can, is to continue to show up. That's take action, which is what you're saying.
Yeah. There's really no other way to say it, man. It's just most people don't take action because they're distracted by something. And if you put those words together, if you look at them, it's distraction. You're distracted from the action of doing something. So let's take away the actions. What are you distracted from? Let's write out your time block. Let's see where your time's going. Let's figure out those things. And let's figure out, all right, do you have time to work out here? Sure, let's get a session in. You don't have time to work out here. It doesn't make sense with your lifestyle. So fucking well, I'm not going to send you to the gym at this time. I'm not going to even create a workout for you. I'm going to do it for how your lifestyle is and how we're trying to change it based on these little itty bitty actions. We're going to take those actions and we're going to run with them.
I do the concept of meeting people where they're at, but I think sometimes as coaches, we need to be a little bit more firm with our standards towards our clients. And I know that for myself, I find myself having to tiptoe the line between empathy and tough love. And that's a conversation I think that's really important to have. So how do you approach that conversation?
I'm very open when I have those things, and I could see, again, I'm facial features. So I look at facial. Is this a good time to have a conversation right now? You could look at the Brett Bartholomew book not his book, but one of them that he recommended was conscious conversation, conscious conversations.
Okay.
And
Okay.
you could have these conversations at any time, but it's how you present it in the moment. Sometimes when they're dead working out and they're done, I might find that a very good time to have a conversation because their guards are down, and now I can get to them at a very vulnerable state, and I can bring up, hey, these are the things that are bothering me about what I'm seeing, what your nutrition diet is looking like right now. Why are you? And well, I try not to use why anymore, but what can you tell me about this day that made you overeat, that made you overpass your macro, whatever. And we'll have that conversation then. So again, it's how I see them when they're coming in, how they're leaving the session. A lot of it, good coaches have a lot of feel. They have to have a lot of good feel within your session, whether it's the bad part of it or the good part of it. You have to kind of, I could go at them at this way, I can go at them at that way. And that's just loads of experience on reading body language. I mean, Jim, you deal with the high school kids a lot. You see the body language. And that's where I got really good at seeing stuff is body language, because high school kids are the ones that give you the most body language you'll ever see.
Including the finger.
Yeah.
For me, like when it comes to that topic of like that fine line between that empathy and tough love, I think goes back to directing them, asking them those questions of, well, what do you expect of yourself? I think a lot of people forget what they expect of themselves, and like really in a realistic way. Like they'll beat themselves up, and then you want to have empathy, but you're also like, but you said you wanted this. And it's just kind of, I think, redirecting them sometimes, and you allow them to give themselves their own tough love. You know, you've been saying that you want this. What is happening? Like you said, Phil, like what's going on that you didn't, blah, blah, blah. What can you do, kind of a thing, and try to guide them in creating their own tough love. Because I think we all know, for the most part, I have one client who's like, you got to kick my butt. I'm like,
that's not going to do anything.
Mean? Like we're virtual. Yeah. Like you got to do this stuff. Yeah. I shoot a text on a Thursday. Hey, you been doing your stuff? And like, that's all she needs, I guess. But I'm like, this is a short-lived solution, you know, to what's going on. But just kind of directing them back.
I try to, like, I do a lot of recording of them, so I'll show them some film of them, like, hey, you can do this, so why can't you do this? Like
hidden camera when they're going to McDonald's?
Oh, yeah, like underneath their steering wheel. Like, I'll have it soon, and I'll see their
like
fat face just ordering those cheeseburgers. I'm like, look, you fucking fat.
Yeah.
Dude. No.
Remember that video? Here's a video of you squatting. All right, you see this? All right, great. We're going to critique that. Here's a video of you that I put in your car when you're
mouth while you're squatting position, learning your isometric holding. Yeah, we're getting there.
You are crushing the mastication, young lady. Crushing your jaws. Your mandible is strong as shit these days. That'd be awful. You know, all the people that are like, I need to hire somebody who's going to smack the food out of my head. Imagine if you did. That person says that, God. You put a camera in, and then you show it to them. They'd be like, oh.
I've been sent that so many times of dudes just like smacking foods out. Is that going to be you when I train with you? I'm like, no, it's going to be me. We're going to talk about it, but that's not going to be me. Like, you know, they're tortured by that, I guess. But
if you bring it into the gym, maybe.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
I got other things to do. I can't follow you around the streets.
Well, and whenever I get that type of response from clients or even people that are just asking me for advice, I'm like, what does that say about you? That you need to be forcefully led into a certain position of your life. Yeah. Like, do you not have any ounce of self-efficacy whatsoever that you have to actually be literally manhandled to be able to get done what you have to get done? Mm-hmm. Like, I understand being motivated and inspired. I totally get that. And I mean, even going back to football, we had two different coaches on our team, and they were distinctly different. We had the one coach who our head coach was, who was just overtly an asshole and was very demeaning. He would call you names. He would call you fat, slow, stupid, whatever. And then we had another coach who was our strength coach, who was extremely aggressive and loud, but he was encouraging. And he believed that you could do it, as opposed to putting you down that you couldn't. Two completely different coaching styles, but one evoked a much greater response while the other person made people retreat back into themselves. Mm-hmm. And I attribute all of my toughness and all of my grit, my fortitude, to the fact that I had to go through 4 years of being coached by this individual who basically taught me that it's okay to get loud with people. It's okay to get aggressive with people as long as you're pulling them up with you as opposed to pushing them down.
So even as the water boy, he still would be aggressive with you?
Absolutely, because I made sure that water was ice cold.
That's awesome. And then he continued when you graduated or whatever, got promoted to a towel boy.
Team manager.
Team manager.
I'm saying Gatorade right
Gatorade.
here.
Listen, my high school football career was dog shit. And my high school basketball career was I averaged 0.9 points a game as a freshman, which is under one actual point if you did that.
That's awesome.
Because I made a 3-pointer and a free throw in 12 games.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Solid, though. I was for one from the 3-point line.
They don't give you 4 points when you shoot it underhand? They don't give you 4 points for that when it's behind the line and underhand?
But it's funny, for as bad as I was, the amount of the reason why I even tried to play football was purely so I could train with the team. Like the football kids were the strongest, they were the fastest. And the only reason why I wanted to play was I wanted to be, and I was so fucking lucky to have been in that environment because it literally set me up for the love that I have now for the gym, which at some point will waver. So Phil, I want you to talk about that concept. There's going to be days where you love it and there's going to be days where you dread going in. How are you able to navigate those different days, and how do you teach people to be able to handle that?
Ultimately, getting to the end of the session is where their win is at. So if I can get them to show up for their warm up, how we feel about there? Can we continue? If I can get them to their first circuit, we've won that. Can I get you to their second one? And I'll play with that. Sometimes I'll get people that won't go all the way to the third circuit. They'll just end on their second one. I do 3 sets of 3 circuits. It takes about an hour. So sometimes they won't even get there. So I will play with those in that. Again, it's a progression. Can you progress from there to here? Meeting them where they're at. Can you progress from there to there? Meeting them where they're at. Can you progress from there to there? That's how I work it. I progress with everything in life, little by little. Add some, take some away. Usually the feedback that I hear from clients is they love the weight increases. They love the set increases, whatever I've increased. That's how I deal with it. It's just little by little, like life. Little by little. You can't handle a bunch of 1,000 different things in different ways. You got to handle little by little what you can within the moment and move on. I think, again, with football, it's so different than other sports because you get so many opportunities to hone these skills. You get 88 opportunities to be on a football field. There's no other sport that gives you that opportunity. That's why football to me is so different. Baseball, you don't get that. Basketball, you don't get that. Hockey, tennis, swimming, none of these sports give you that opportunity. 88 opportunities to find something that you love, to find something about the sport, working out, being with the girls, being with the dudes, whatever it is, you have those opportunities to find it in football. Well, what do you do to get in football? Make sure you have your good grades. Well, you got to show up on time. You got to show up to your classes. Make sure you're passing your classes. You have to have some type of respect to be in your classes with your teachers to pass them. If you just show up and you have a, say a D minus, D plus, whatever it is, and you need a C, guess what? I bet you if you just show up to your class, that teacher will remember you and be like, because they showed up, they're going to pass this class and get you that C just by showing up. So just by showing up to your sessions, we will get just a little bit done. Can you do a little more after that? We'll get a little more done after that. And if we need to take our little breaks in between, we'll do that. So it's just, those are the ways that I work on it. It's just little by little, man. It's the most boring way, but it's the way that I do it.
It works. Such a good parallel. But it's such a good parallel to the gym. You want to get this certain body, you're doing all the work in the gym. Well, you're doing all the work in the weight room and on the football field, but in order to play the sport, which is your end goal, you got to show up to class. And that's you got to show up with your nutrition. You got to show up with your sleep. I know you want this, and you'd love the work it out part, but all these other things are what's actually going to get you to the goal of playing the game that you want to play. Interesting parallel. I have a question for both you guys. Biggest loser, Coach Bob or Coach Jill? If you were on that show, I'm assuming you guys have both watched it back when they were on it.
Bob's dead, right?
Did he die? I know he had a heart attack. I don't think he's dead.
Oh, he's not dead? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think he's dead. So, Phil, you never watched it back when Jillian Michaels and
never. I actually watch I watch a lot of TV.
Because as Aram was discussing his 2 football coaches, I'm picturing Bob and Jillian, and like the asshole was Jillian.
Jill was crazy, wasn't she? She like was up people's asses and shit.
So
I remember
going back
watching
to
that thinking
all
I
that,
would need Bob.
Where's
I would need Bob.
Where's the like the 5 and 6 months after they come off the Biggest Loser TV shows? At?
Oh, there's a reason that show's not on anymore.
Exactly. Like, where are those shows at? Let me see the results after.
They're dead.
Yeah,
they're
There you
dead.
go.
I'm just saying, from like that coaching perspective, who would you rather have? And I'm like, I remember watching the show, be like, I need Bob. He'd be yelling at you, but in that encouraging way. And Jillian would be yelling at you like, you're a piece of shit.
Those
you
are the
fucking scumbag. Look at you, run.
With my friends, I'm doing that. As a coach, nah. What are you teaching me? You teaching me to be a piece of shit to my teammates? All right, cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I don't respond to that. I wasn't a football player, so I don't respond to that. Negative reinforcement. Very soft skin, very supple.
Is that why you have? Is that why you have the beard to shove up the soft skin?
It's to try to make me manly. To try to make me manly. Yeah. You know, it's to cover up my insecurity and my soft palms, my calloused hands, whatever word that would be. Anyway, Phil, you ruined that whole thing because you never watched that show.
Yeah,
so
no,
screw you.
Sorry. Sorry.
Phil, if you could have dinner with any coach or player historically across any sport, who would it be?
Billy Madison.
Oh, wow. Across any sport?
Happy Gilmore, I meant.
That's kind of hard and easy at the same time. I've always been a big John Wooden fan, even though I don't even like UCLA stuff. I'm a USC fan. But John Wooden was always one of them. When I read his book, the big 500-page one, at the very end of it, when I kind of understood that there was some type of boostering with UCLA when he was coaching there in his heyday, there was something going on over there. It actually tied into my city of Bell Gardens at the bicycle club. There was a little talk about that, and I was like, holy shit, this is crazy. So John Wooden would be that. I would love to ask him about that. The other one probably would be, he has a really good book too, would be Bill Walsh. The Score Takes Care of Itself, really good book. And then Pete Carroll, I love his enthusiasm. His book, Always Compete, is phenomenal, but always doing the better, do things better than you've ever done them better before. Always do them better. I think he carries that youthful energy everywhere he goes. So, he may not be connecting to the players as much anymore, but that message is still there, and I really like that message.
Aram would pick Dennis Rodman. It's not...
dude, Dennis Rodman. Dude, that guy is friends with... what's his name over there in China? Or not China, but Korea. What's his name?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's his homie.
Kim.
There you go. Kim. That guy.
People shit on Dennis Rodman, but Dennis Rodman was Defensive Player of the Year for like 8 years.
Awesome.
Savage.
And he's one of the greatest defensive players in the history of the NBA. And if it wasn't for Rodman, the Bulls would have not won that 96 championship.
I agree with you. You want to talk about football stuff and program stuff. That's what I like to go. The guys that are the supporting cast, not the MVPs and everybody. Because when I was the JV head coach at my alma mater, I was the head coach for 4 years. So my job was to prepare the guys for the varsity, for the big leagues. I was in the minors, and he can take one of my best players at any time, and I always had to have the next guy up. So I always loved having the program mentality of who's next. I got to train the next guys to be ready for the next thing. And that's Dennis Rodman right there. He's a supporting cast, and that's what he did. I think I really enjoyed the way he talked about grabbing the rebounds, because when he talked about that, I understood exactly what he was talking about. I'm like, oh, I get you exactly. But it became a meme, and he got clowned on that. But I knew exactly what he was talking about. The ball bounces a specific way, and you got to position yourself. And he was great at that. He used what he had to his ability. Hey, look who did that there.
Yep.
Yeah, he's awesome. Who would you pick, Aram, besides Dennis Rodman? You don't even want to hear about his life. You just want to party with him.
No, if I could ever have dinner with any player of all time, I'd probably choose either. Yeah, I'd probably say Jordan. I mean, Jordan's the clear. I would want to understand. How it is that he was so fucking driven. I mean, there's in my opinion,
I feel like it would just be like an ego conversation. Like he'd be like he would just be talking, which is cool. I already watched the documentary. I don't feel like I don't need that dinner with. Not to shit on. Good for you. You get to have the dinner with him.
As far as coaches of all time, I would probably say that I would want to. I'd want to see what makes Bill Belichick tick. Because he's just so odd and so unconventional. There's just something about the way that he does things that But I also do think, because I'm a former Giants fan, and I think Tom Coughlin was a hard ass coach, but but his players liked him a lot. Like they played their asses off for him. And I think if you can evoke that type of a response from a professional who's getting paid, not because of the passion, but because of the money, and to still have that passion in the game, I think that's what really made him different.
Yeah, his early Jaguar teams were very much that, and his teams with the Giants won. So he's pretty good. How about you, Jim? Who would you be saying with?
Sandusky, easy, legend in the sport.
Talking about those boo holes, huh?
Yeah. I've always been a fan.
And who's the other one for the girls Olympic team that twiddled?
That was he was the doctor though,
like the PT or something like that, whatever he was.
You want to hang out with? Is that the other guy you want to hang out with, Jim?
That guy's a scumbag. It was because of Sandusky's coaching abilities, what he really brought to the team. I always respected, and
you just want to show us on the doll where you were touched as a child.
I don't need the doll. My parents taught me the appropriate terminology, which is a lesson to you parents. If you have a young child, teach them the appropriate terminology, not the hoo-ha or the willy whacker. If a predator's like, "Oh, is this your little hoo-ha?" And the kid's like, "That's my penis. That's my vagina." They back away. All right.
Yeah,
so don't teach your kids fake words. Teach them
kids
the real words.
These kids are parrots. They will repeat it.
Yeah. I don't need a doll, Judge. He touched me in my bird, my penis. Okay. I don't need no doll. In my mind, the 4-year-old has a very thick Italian New York accent. Yeah, I don't need that doll. Okay. Okay, Judge. Listen. I don't need a doll. I don't need a fucking doll.
He fucking pointed at
a dude touched me. What's like Roger Rabbit, like the baby from Roger Rabbit. Remember the Roger Rabbit movie and the baby, and then they would cut, and he'd be like, "All right, this is bullshit." It was hilarious.
No.
Anyway,
that one.
Yeah,
that one.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who I'd pick. I haven't watched sports in a tremendous amount of time. So I have no clue. I couldn't even answer that. I'd have to like go through my Rolodex in my head of players and be like, "Oh, that person's cool. I'd want to sit down with them."
I don't know. For some reason, Goose Gossage pulls my name to you. I don't know why. I have no idea why I just said that, but Goose Gossage calls your name.
I got to look up Goose Gossage. Is that a real person?
Yeah, he was a pitcher back in like the 80s or something.
Oh, Jesus. Who's the guy who did the no-hitter drunk? Let's talk to that guy.
That was...
He did it once or twice,
He did it the same... Dwight Gooden?
No, David Wells. David Wells
did it, yeah. David Wells did it.
Yeah.
It was David Wells.
Gooden was on cocaine, I think.
Well, Strawberry was, and maybe Gooden, too.
That's a performance-enhancing drug.
It is, yeah. It is. Quick reaction time. Dude, that's any of the freaking 90s play. Darren Dalton, Lenny Dykstra, all those guys. Those dudes were the best. So you're from the area. Were you all Philly fan kind of thing? What was your teams growing up, Phil?
Oh, me, I'm a LA boy, so
Oh, you're from okay.
Well, here's the funny thing. I didn't have a football team for the longest time because the Rams left. So I'm actually I'm a Green Bay Packer shareholder now.
Yeah, I was going to ask that because that isn't your thing. I see you have on your profile the NFL shareholder.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
It's the dumbest fucking thing, but it's the most important.
What do you own like one of the seats in the stadium?
No, so the Packers are the only franchise in North America that actually sell shareholders to their to the fans. So like every few years they'll open it up because they want to renovate something or whatever. So you actually get like a whole like little plaque. You get access to like this website to buy like official shareholder gear, license plates, hats. I own the pack and all this other shit. So you don't get to vote on anything on presidents or who players to fucking go and get, but you own the Packers. So I own them.
That's awesome.
I'm better than all of you because I own the team.
Do you get like at least like a free shirt every handful of years? Just like a T-shirt?
You know what?
You get access to buy things that say shareholder.
So I misspoke. You get invited to go and actually see the stadium and like vote on like stuff there. You can vote on a bunch of shit there, but I don't.
And then your vote, you write it on paper and throw it right in the trash can. Is that how it works?
Basically, and then they don't even pay attention to you. like our main guy now. Like we need to get that guy out of there. But whatever. But yeah, so that's how that came about.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's how I got that. It's just the dumbest thing.
Cool.
They offered it. I'm like, yeah, I'm buying one. Give it to me. I want it.
Yeah. I like it.
And then other than that, all the other LA teams. I'm a Dodger guy. Lakers, Kings. We're in the playoffs right now, but we're probably gonna get swept out. But Lakers, Kings, Dodgers, USC football, everything around here in LA, I'm pretty much doing.
Did you read Bo Knows Bo?
I actually haven't read it yet, but I would like to.
Wow, I gotta go now. Bye.
Yeah, I haven't read it yet.
But I remember. How old are you?
I just turned 38.
Okay. Yeah, so you're old enough for a little Bo Knows Bo.
Yeah, I know Bo.
Yeah. He was my favorite back in the day. Bowie, Howie Long, and Bo Jackson.
How is Howie Long not fucking aged in fucking 30 years?
He picked the hairstyle and he stuck with it.
Yeah, probably. Shit. He looks the exact same as when he retired. Jeez.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah,
them and Tony. Yeah, Tony Gwynn, I just randomly chose. I'm from outside of Philadelphia. Like, Tony Gwynn's my favorite baseball player for some reason.
Which ended up being
he's from San Diego.
Yeah, it ended up being my grandmother's favorite player because she went to a game when he was, I think he was managing the San Diego State baseball team. Okay. She went to a game and she was sitting there watching, and the foul ball came and popped her on the head. And I think he ended up signing it for her, and she ended up keeping it. That's my title, awesome. Tony Gwynn right there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's fucking great.
I like it, man.
Gentlemen.
We rolled off on some random stuff.
Just different things.
We wrap it up. I don't know. It was good.
Let's put a bow on it.
Put a bow on it. Phil, do you have anything that you would like to share with people? Obviously, we'll put your IG in there, but is there some kind of thing that you tend to remind your clients about, or some kind of final thought that you'd like to leave people with?
Just my main mantra is attitude and effort will get you far in life. When you have a good attitude, you're going to have great effort. When you have a bad attitude, most of the time you're going to give bad effort. So if you can kind of yin and yang that, man, put those two together, you'll have something really well put together in life.
Yeah. I even like that thought too. Like, hey, if today you have a bad attitude, let's make a good effort. If you go off the one, let's do the other.
Yeah.
That's like a great little solution for it. If you have a good attitude, hey, bring the effort that you want because you got a good attitude. You're going to bring good effort. I like that. That could be like a little reminder for people. You had a bad attitude today, at least you can do is bring the effort.
I'm fired the fuck up. I have an upper body workout today, and it feels twisted in my head today.
His shoulder's hurting, but he's still going to bench press, Phil. Don't worry.
There you go. Upward rotation. Get your breathing drills in. Do a little mobility.
T-spine mobility. All right.
Phil, that's my shit right
Phil,
there.
did you finish the episode that you were listening to of ours with Tunagate?
That shit was so goddamn funny, dude. When I love Dr. Crystal. I met her at Andrew Coates' event, had dinner with her, and she's amazing. I want to go back just to hang out with her again. That's how
she is so cool.
She's hilarious. She said something, and she said she found it more disrespectful when you don't go to the restroom to go fart, when the dude kept farting on the plane. She said something along the line. The moment she said that, I had to stop because I couldn't listen anymore. I was laughing so goddamn hard.
So it sounds like he's never listened to it all the way through.
You didn't finish
our last question.
Did you finish the episode? Do you know what the final question is?
Actually, no, I don't. I haven't finished it. Like I said, I stopped laughing and that was it. So
I'll let her know that you didn't finish the episode. But it works out because you didn't get to hear what our final question is every episode. Awesome. Are you ready for the final question so that we can compare you as a human being to 126 other guests?
Well, I'm a piece of shit, so let's get the comparing going.
Perfect. Bye.
I'm a big one.